Welcome to Amazon Ads Canvas. My name is Ajay, and today we have two very special guests from HP India. We have Shivani Chopra, India Consumer PC Marketing Head, and we have Abhishek Seth, who is Head of Media Greater India. Shivani and Abhishek, welcome to Amazon Ads Canvas. And the topic that we have today is very exciting. We're going to be talking about AI PC, evolving PC consumer behavior, and media strategies. Shivani, in very simplistic terms, what is an AI PC? And if somebody has bought a PC in 2023, how different an AI PC of 2024 is? And is the consumer very, very different for an AI PC?
Ajay, you're right. There's a lot of excitement around AI PC. I don't want to burst anyone's bubble by saying AI is not new, right? AI has been around, from music recommendations to how we order food. AI is everywhere, right? I think a lot of the conversation today is happening because the capability of AI has really gone up. Yeah. And that's happened because of what the hardware today can do. So, if you just ask me what is an AI PC, as a definition, I'd say any PC that can process more than 40 trillion operations per second is an AI PC. 10 tops is what you need, even your normal PC does. However, this is still 4x better, right? So what has happened is the capability of today, what your PC can do for you, has really gone up incrementally, right? You also asked me the very interesting thing on who of the PC, AI PC. Who isn't going to be the consumer for an AI PC? And the answer is no one. Because let's be honest, what is it that an AI PC is doing for you today, right? See, as we go forward, right, as cultures, as countries, as evolving consumers, the one thing, Ajay, which is at premium for all of us is going to be time. What an AI PC will really do for you is give you meaningful time, right? At HP, we really believe that an AI PC will do the mundane for you. I think today the challenge for us really is only finding who our early adopters are. So to be honest, the consumer isn't changing. I think all marketers out there know that their product is going to be used by the people who need their product. So my consumer isn't changing. But within that consumer, because there's always this inherent inertia of anything changing, right? But we did this research with 15 to 24-year-olds on their biggest use cases today with the PC and where they see AI coming in. Also, because we are looking at early adopters, we said, what is it today that they think AI can do? 65% Gen Z are creative, one way or the other. So we did both a qualitative and a quantitative research to come up with what are the sort of use cases they are seeing. And as a result, you build comms which appeals to everyone. So for us, it's about identifying the early adopters when we look at our consumer cohort.
I think that brings me to the next question. We have been obviously, looking at HP and different product lines HP has, right? So we start with Pavilion and Victus and Omen, Spectre, and now AI PC is a new dimension. From the communication lens also, I think the consumers need to really understand what this PC can do. So how is the media strategy evolving around AI PC? What you would do different, for example, going forward in terms of media, Abhishek?
That's a really interesting question and a loaded one, to be honest. Very interesting time. The era of new AI PCs has just started. It means that we have been given a lot more computing power, which we could never even envisage. And that is on our own personal devices, the systems and laptops that we use. And think about it. There are a lot of use cases which are emerging out of it. Some of those which we can predict, but then there are a lot of use cases which we can't even predict right now. They will only emerge as we progress through this journey. And I think this is the core of how we are going to shape up our strategy on the media front as well. So think about it. So far, we have been doing the conversations to the consumers on the digital platforms or even offline marketing, where we used to talk to them on the personas and the products fits for them. Now the conversations are going to shift to possibilities. The shift from personas to possibilities requires more iterative conversation with the consumer on what are the possible use cases that are going to happen. What are the things which they can utilize this now new era of PCs for. And this iterative conversations require us to partner with media partners where the time spent by these consumers is far more. These are where they spend a lot more time. Platforms like Meta, Google, yourselves, LinkedIn, where they actually spend the part of their life to consume the content. And that's a long-term thing, to be honest. And I think we need to then showcase them the new possibilities so that their adoption happens, discoverability happens, and they then adopt to these. Here and now problem, which I think Shivani also called out, we need to identify the early adopters who are going to determine, unearth the new use cases which don't even exist right now. And I think for that, platforms like Amazon really help us getting user insights, understanding from what they are searching. People search about the brand, people search about use cases, people search my PC for this, my PC for that, etc. So those signals are really important for us, and I think that's going to be a short-term play.
Yeah. I think what I gathered so far is that there are some endless use cases that we are talking about here. For a marketeer, I think it is a huge challenge to build a communication for every use case, right? So you must be thinking of something which is overarching, right? In terms of communication, which we have seen in the Be Unstoppable campaign that you guys have just launched. But at the same time, you need to programmatically identify the cohorts, right? So Abhishek, maybe this question is for you again, is how are you looking at using programmatic advertising to zero down on some large cohorts who will be the early adopters, right, into this? And maybe we can double click on that point on taking a view from searches and other behaviors that you're noticing and the openness to AIPC so far in the country.
Correct. So I think programmatic helps on two fronts largely. The first thing is that you exhaust most of the audience which is available to you within the platform, or say the walled garden. And now there is a need to go beyond those walled gardens to reach to the incremental audience. How can I reach out to another 10-20% of my overall target audience beyond those walled gardens? And that's where programmatic comes into play. The second thing which programmatic really helps is to establish our conversation and communication with them in the right context, into the right users, in a brand safe manner, without compromising on the measurement. And that is where we use programmatic solutions, even Amazon DSP for that matter. That's how we use it. And then we are able to read into measurement strategies and the measurement signals to analyze and attribute correctly that what is leading to what kind of conversions, what is the path that users have taken.
And I'll come to the measurement, question maybe a little later. Moving on, I think HP is a global brand, so does Amazon, and we have certain things that we take from global and apply differently here. On those lines, how different or similar HP's communication or media strategy is to HP Global in India? Maybe that is where we can talk about.
Yeah. No, a great question. And I think a lot of people who are working with global brands, right, understand the fact that the brand is one brand across the world. And when I say that, I don't mean that it always looks the same, but it feels the same, right? So it comes from the same brand ethos, right? It's the same set of values. So HP's always stood for tech leadership, innovation, but with a lot of empathy, empathetic brand. And that stays constant across the countries that HP operates in. However, it's also a brand which is very clear that locally it needs to get relatable and loved. A lot of our communication is with older people with affordability to buy. In India, we speak to a very young audience, right? Because we're a young person.
Young and mobile first, I think.
Yes. And they're the audience who are leading the conversation today for us. We also have some peculiarities to India which provide cultural nuances to how we shape our comms, right? And that is, say, our affinity for community, for family. And that's why, the over-emphasis on our festivals. And these become our moments, versus moments which may be relevant to the outside world. HP's taken a very humorous approach to tech, which hasn't really been always a tech thing. Is always about finding things which people across the country will understand, right? So I think while we stay a global brand, there is a lot of local, nuance that we bring in, whether it's related to our comms or whether it's related to our media consumption.
And one question I want to ask is that, the emergence of retail media, right, that is here, and you see that, there are very different things happening, like Amazon launching a video service, right? How are you looking at things like these to play a big part in your local media strategy? Can you take us through some specific examples wherein you did something locally in terms of campaign ideas and execution, and that really helped?
So some of the examples, like whatever we do on a Diwali time frame, it's a long duration film which specifically talks into the light aspect of the Diwali and bring light, bring happiness, and bring prosperity kind of a thing. We ran that film across the channels and we communicated that story to the folks. In terms of specific to product films, where we are launching a new product, we try to tap into the colloquial aspect of the users and say, for example, we want to go after students or young entrepreneurs. Then we leverage the platforms where they are available and they consume the content which is relatable and in that language. You would have seen us branding on your platform, Amazon Mini TV, to the audience, gamer audience, with your lot of gaming shows which you had created for that audience. So those are some of the examples which we had already worked. On the specific part of the part of the question that you asked, I think the kind of audiences we look into is two classification. One is the value users or value audience that's coming in. These are mostly the India audience, as we call it, coming from tier 1 metro cities, SCCA kind of audience. Their path from discovery to decisioning is lesser in tenure. They make faster decisions. Their wallet size is higher. And I think that's where we try to play with the premium products. On the other hand, the growth is coming from the volume users, which is the Bharat users, which come from tier 2 cities and plus. These are the users which are much more conscious about their spending. They want to actually look and feel the product before they purchase it. And there we are seeing very interesting trends, like people are researching online and buying offline. They want to walk into the
study
stores.
like within HP to be able to corroborate this, what you just said?
Yes, absolutely. So we read into the data from the users we have a very robust MTA model, and where we are able to identify when were they exposed to the ads and when they purchased the product after they walk into the stores.
I think along with the media consumption, the great point that Abhishek's raised, on the value consciousness of these consumers. And Ajay, to your point, our research says 75% people are researching online, right? Because they want to be sure that they're getting the best value for what they're buying.
Yeah, I think we observe it every Diwali, wherein the number of consumers researching in a particular category talks to the TAM of that category. So I think what you are saying, we are actually seeing that with a lot of data, that we see on a daily basis. Coming to the last leg of this conversation, which is around measurement, and I think it is the dilemma for every marketer. I think we were speaking outside that, how there is a lot of brand conversation that eventually converge and, become a performance conversation on ground. There are a lot of great ideas, but as we go into execution, there is a lot of ROI mindset that the marketeers are operating with. So becomes very important. Whatever you spend, how are you really measuring the impact of it, right? What are the various tools? What are the various mechanisms? What are the various studies that you really conduct? How is retail media really helping into putting a closure to, let's say, I did A, I got B, right?
And HP, I think, is really invested in leveraging data and making informed decisions, both as a first-party data as well as third-party data, whichever is available on the media front. And the marketing team, the media team, as well as the data science team within HP, we strive to create a measurement framework which helps us make those decisions and calls, both optimization ones or short-term ones, as well as the long-term strategic ones. And there is a journey which we have already crossed. While you see traditional brands, which again, we cannot always we cannot stereotype, but still, mostly what I have observed, traditional brands are very good with the brand health index, ACP, TOMA, etc. And then they gradually took the path to come to media metrics and then performance marketing. Media metrics being, CTRs, impressions, reach, CTR, VTRs, and then moving to the performance, cost per acquisition, cost per sale, etc. While on the other hand, the born in digital companies, which were actually in a run for for the hyper growth, etc. So far, they started reverse. They actually were very media strong. They focused on the media metrics and the performance metrics, and now they are realizing that, you know what, we need to measure and progress on the brand metrics as well as the profitability metrics, which they have not been doing. So that's another trend which we are seeing. HP, I would say, has been conscious of all of these things, and since it's a legacy brand, it does measure already the brand health index and all those important aspects on the top and the mid funnel side. At the same time, it is also on the front of the digital marketing, etc. So the media metrics has always been on the under the radar of measurements. Now the business metrics, which involve things like your ROAS, your ROI, they are something which we also put a lot of attention towards, not just the media metrics in isolation. Media metrics coupled with business metrics. And finally, I think on a long-term and strategic bets, we look into the MMM kind of models, where we read into the overall impact and the strategic impact on the long-term selection of the channels. As you rightly mentioned, marketplaces and the analytics that we get on the dashboard, which is a self-service as well as a managed service solution from Amazon. I think it's just amazing to see how the spends which you have incurred, you are able to now see, like we did some advertisement for Spectre where we bought some inventory on Fire TV banners, and then we were able to, and we ran that for a while, and we ran some inventory on DSP, and then we ended up actually launching the product and seeing the sale earlier part of this year. Towards the end, we were able to attribute that, okay, this is how much it's coming as a direct sale from the searches and things which have happened, which is on the control group versus the exposed group to the ads. So we are able to also measure into the incrementality and what's the impact of these.
Sure. Similar question, but maybe I'll bring this closer to what we are doing on media. There is a campaign live for AIPC. How would you measure success? Like, when would you say that this campaign was really successful for yourself and for the team?
So, I think you're absolutely right when you say this conversation on ROI and measurement is here to stay, right? Of course, it's giving us a little bit of a short-term focus, but it's still here to stay, right? Because everyone, money is becoming scarce. Everyone wants to see what it's driving. But honestly, for me, all of these metrics are post, right? Because what do you do when it's all done, right? And if I be honest as a marketer and I really want to optimize what I'm doing today, I look at share of branded search. Why? Because it's a lead indicator. The moment I see my audience searching for something, I realize that what I'm doing is working. And my team knows this. I have decided in advance what is the keyword I want to see going up. Because my creative, my communication has to mention that
to it, right?
again and again. Yeah. And that's what my audience has to take
and
away.
Are there any platform of choice where you measure it?
Absolutely, absolutely. See, if today we've done something today, even something as simple as a roadblock on media, I know that I can see the search tomorrow on Amazon and know whether it's working or it isn't, right? I mean, since you mentioned AIPC as leaders in the market, I want to see AIPC going up because it's adoption for AIPC. And within that, I want to see HP AIPC going up. But at the same time, I want to see HP share going up in that. So I really use, search, branded search, share of branded search as lead indicators to figure. And I think e-commerce media plays a big role there because it really showcases what the user is taking away.
And this is something we are working together as we speak. I think there's one thing that we have already started in gaming called UGS, which is helping consumers to find the right gaming PC for themselves. And there's something that we are also working on, printers, is what I believe, to lead them to find the right printer in a retail environment. Thank you, Shivani and Abhishek, for a very insightful session today. We have, of course, grown our understanding on AIPC and its use cases for all our consumers. We also understood how Abhishek is choosing different media options for different objectives across HP products and for the overarching AIPC theme that everyone is going to look. I think what was very exciting to also know about the measurement piece. I think that is where we talked a lot of things about how the emergence of some new platforms and media vehicles like retail media is helping brand marketers and performance marketers like yours. And I think the users will really find it valuable. Thank you so much once more.
Thank you.
Thank you.